Hey, it's me, Monte. It is February 21st. It is Tuesday. Let's start our week. What are we doing today? Today is Tuesday. It's our Monday. So we are going to do our Unit 3, Week 5. So we're almost done with Unit 3. It's going over the ooh sound contractions, and I'll see what else it's going over. So that's what we're going to do in phonics and phonemic awareness, and reading is going to be nonfiction. I think it goes over a farm. So we're going to do that, and I think sequencing is our comprehension strategy for the week. For word work, for groups, it's from Humble Beginnings. I do pretty much the same thing every week. So there's my ooh words, they match it to the picture, and then this time they're going to get the same ooh words and fill in the blank. For writing, they have a picture with a bunny rabbit doing a dance party, and so they'll write sentences on that. Since we're doing contractions and we've already done contractions, we're going to go over just what contractions these are. I think I'm going to get rid of this so that it can be a little bit more difficult instead of matching, since we've already done these contractions, and so they just have to combine them into the contractions there. And then on the other side, which is just going to be pretty much them practicing printing, they're going to rewrite the sentence but writing the contraction instead of the two words. So that's what we're going to do worksheet wise. We're going to do President's Day this week because I didn't do it last week because last week was Kindness Week. And since it's President's Day, I printed this last week. We're going to do Abraham Lincoln. It doesn't say who it's from. Amanda Richardson. So this was, I think, free by Amanda Richardson. It was in my file, so I really don't know. I'll have to look it up. But we'll read about Abraham Lincoln, and then we will do a chart of was, wanted, had, or something like that for facts that we find out about him. So I need to look for that. And then we will draw Abraham Lincoln and write about Abraham Lincoln. So today is Abraham Lincoln Day. We'll probably hold off on this because reading about Abraham Lincoln, getting facts about him, writing about him, and drawing about him, that's probably going to be all my extra time. So this will probably have to wait till Friday because I have something for Abraham Lincoln, I have George Washington, and I have comparing both of them. So this will probably be my Friday activity where it'll fit. What else are we doing today? When they come in, they're going to go to their seats. Same seats as last week because some of them didn't finish their heart math, and so they're going to have time to finish that. If they finished, they'll be reading. So on Thursday, I told them to leave their stuff there so that way we can get to it early in the morning. And then at 8:45, we have a dental hygiene presentation. It's on Zoom. I wish they would come in person because it'll capture their attention more if someone was there, a physical body, but I understand. So it's on Zoom, so we'll connect to that. And then we'll start our day at 9:15. We'll go over the rest of our day. So I'm going to go make copies. I'm going to go see if there's anything in my box, and I will see you at lunchtime. It's lunch. Where has my time gone? I don't know. Even my kids were like, what, already? We had the dental assembly, I guess we'll call it, presentation on Zoom. That took my morning chunk. So we came in, we pretty much sat, took roll, started a mystery science, one of those little mini episodes, and then it was time to log in for the presentation. So then we did that. After the presentation, we finished the mystery science, and then that was my morning chunk. I only get an hour. And then we came back in from recess. After recess, it's another hour before we leave to lunch. They finished up their math, did AR tests. I had about 6 kids take AR tests. Again, I don't push it. If they take it, I do give them something little. So I have like little gummies, and I have little tiny sweet tart hearts. Just like thank you for taking an AR test and passing it. They have to pass with 80. So if they pass, I have 6 kids that took tests. I will give it to them later. I tell them I don't give it I don't give it to them before lunch. It's too early. So after when they come back, I'll give it to them. And that's just like a thank you for taking and passing an AR test. And so I gave them about 15 minutes to do that. While my other friends finished, doing their hearts. I have a friend right there that didn't finish. because he didn't show up today. So we did that, and then we started math groups. And I have about 11 minutes left with my second math group, and then we had to go to lunch. And so when we come back in, we will finish math. So I haven't gotten much done. A little bit of science, if we can call it. We did our presentation on brushing your teeth, and then we did math. That's all we did. When we come back in, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to finish our lesson 19. This is going into topic E, so it's switching topics. I am a bad teacher, I know. They don't understand the decomposing numbers and putting them back together again. I'm going to go on with my module, and then when we get to the end of the module, I'll go back and reteach. There are some flex days built into our pacing guide, so I'll go back and I'll reteach those. We spent about a week on it, and I had 2 kids that they understood what was happening. Everyone else was lost in outer space somewhere. They had parts of it, but they didn't quite understand the whole big picture. So I'm going to go on. We have 2 days of flex, that's what they're calling it, built in. So I'll go over it at the end of the module. Lesson 19, let me see. Concept is to use diagrams as representations to solve, put together, take apart with total unknown, and add to with results unknown word problems. Okay, it's a word problem. They have to draw, label, I wrote it up there. We have to draw, label, have a number sentence, and do a statement. And so that's what I'm, label it, do a drawing, a math drawing, I tell them, which turns into like circles and lines, base 10 blocks, but it's not art. So I don't want them to spend, if it says that there's a bunny rabbit, I don't want them to draw 13 bunny rabbits. I tell them it's a math drawing. So we have to draw our math problem. So we listen to the math problem, and then we have to label it. So this one was how many friends came first, and then how many friends came last. So we wrote F for first and then L for last. And then it's our number sentence, and then we have a statement which has our answer in it. So they all grasped this. This is going smooth. We'll finish that when we come in. Since we had that presentation of brushing our teeth, I found this on my little time, and it just says, this is how I take care of my teeth. And so we're going to use what we heard from the presentation, and we're going to write a sentence for each one. So I brush my teeth, I floss, I go to the dentist, and then it talks about eating healthy foods. And so I'm going to give them one sheet from this one, and then we'll write a sentence for each one, and then I'll give them time to draw a picture for each one. So we're going to make this little booklet, so that way the presentation isn't just they sat there for 40 minutes and did nothing with it. We're going to write sentences to go with what we talked about in our presentation. And it was just about brushing your teeth and going to the dentist and changing out your toothbrush. And so it was dental health. So we're going to do that before we move on to the rest. Read out loud this week is going to be Nobody Hugs a Cactus, because I didn't do anything with it last week. I read it and we did characters and setting, and then that was all we did, because I was focusing on Valentine's Day and Kindness Week, where I kind of pushed this off every day and I didn't get to it. So I'm going to do the rereading with the questions lesson, and then we're going to put it together. And then that's going to be our lesson for today for Nobody Hugs a Cactus. And so I'm going to focus on this one this week, since I didn't do anything with it last week. I kind of, every day was kind of like, I'll get to it later, because I was trying to focus on kindness and Valentine's Day. After that, we're going to get into our phonics, which is the ooh or sound, like good, hood, push. And so we're going to get into the sound. And then I have my words that have the sound in it that we're going to go over. So in the humble beginnings, they have just cards. And it's supposed to be for a pocket chart. And so the kids have, that's like a center. So they have the pictures and they match the pictures to the words. But I just use this as flashcards to go with our phonics lessons. And then these are also the words that they'll have to read at the end of the week to go over to see if they understood the phonics for this week. So that's what we're going to do right when we come back. So we're going to finish math. We're going to do our dental hygiene little book, so that way they can write down, use that for some of our writing. And then math, writing, Nobody Hugs a Cactus is going to be our read out loud again this week. We're going to do that, and then we're going to get into our phonemic awareness, phonics, centers. I already printed out and I put them away. And then we're going to do nonfiction reading, which is take a look at breakfast. So on Mondays, today's Tuesday, on Mondays, we just listen to it. And then we go over the comprehension skills. The comprehension skill of the week is sequencing. And so we're going to read a look at breakfast, which is nonfiction. And it's going to talk about the process that food goes through to get from like wheat and how it turns into bread. And so it's going to be just sequence of events of how the wheat gets picked, ground, and then made into flour, which is the flour is made into the bread, and then it goes over orange juice. So we're going to do like a sequence. I think we're just gonna do like an arrow chart. I'll give them a white piece of paper, and then we'll break it up into, I think it's bread, jam, and orange juice. And so we'll just do like this half will be our bread, and we'll just write down the first step, make an arrow, and then put the next step, make an arrow, and then we'll just do that for bread. And on the other side will be the orange juice, the steps to make orange juice. And then on the other side will be the jam. So we'll read it and we'll write down the sequence. We'll write sentences to go with them. And then that will be our comprehension skill of the week, is sequencing. So we'll just listen to it, and then we'll do our comprehension skill. After that, we're gonna get into groups, which I may wanna skip, because if I wanna do Abraham Lincoln stuff, I may have to do some skipping of our other things. So we'll see. But I have groups in my slides. I'm just looking at my slides. And then we'll get into contractions with not. We've already done them, but we're gonna go over them again. It's review, and then we'll get into our Abraham Lincoln stuff. So for Abraham Lincoln, I'm gonna read them a story, and they have their little book that they have there, and then we'll write about Abraham Lincoln. So I need to look right before I go to have my lunch. I need to look for a can have R paper that goes with Abraham Lincoln. So I'll see what they have. So I'm gonna look for one of those before I go to lunch, so that way we can fill that out. And then we'll probably write something on him at the end of the day, and that will bring in informational text, which is our next assessment for writing. So I'm going to do that before I go to lunch, which is right now. I work the first half of my lunch because there's nobody in the lunchroom. So I work the first half of my lunch because I choose to, and then when second, third grade goes in, that's when I go and eat my lunch. So I'm going to do that right before I leave, make copies of whatever I find, and then I'll see you after school. Look at my hair. It's after school. I'm going to head out. My hair is naturally wavy, and I cut bangs, and I don't know if I like them. Do I straighten them? Do I leave them curly? I don't know. I'll figure it out, or they just get pinned back. What did we do? We did, let me see, we had our dental thing. So this is what we made. So it just says how, this is how I take care of my teeth. And we went through and we talked about the different ways that the Cactus person talked about taking care of our teeth. And so we only did the first one together. I told them they had to write 2 sentences for each picture that we did. So someone raised their hand and they said we have to eat healthy. And so we just drew vegetables because that's how we eat healthy. And then together we wrote 2 sentences, always eat healthy food and don't eat too much sugar. And then someone said that we need to brush our teeth. So that was our toothbrush and our toothpaste. By themselves, they had to write 2 sentences about what they talked about when they talked about brushing their teeth. Floss, they talked about flossing every day, and one of my kids said that. And then they also someone also talked about going to the dentist. And so they had to come up with their own 2 sentences, and then when they were done, I stapled and they got to color. So they went home with this. They also went home with a little bag from the Cactus, and it has a toothbrush because you have to change your toothbrush often, and then toothpaste and some floss. And so they went home with that today. What we also did, we didn't get to our reading, which is okay with me. We did our Abraham Lincoln. So I read a story about Abraham Lincoln from Epic, and then we did a YouTube video of someone else reading a story about Abraham Lincoln, and then we just filled out what we know. And so it has little tiny fill in the blanks. And so we had to write president. We had to know that he was born in Kentucky from our reading, that he liked to read. They had 4 children. So it was just like a fill in the blank with facts. He became a lawyer. He was our 16th president. And so this is what we did today. Tomorrow when we come in, we're going to fill out just biography. This is what I could find. I'm gonna see if I can find something else, but we're gonna write down 3 facts about Abraham Lincoln, when he lived, when he was born, when he died, and then something that we learned about him, like a lesson we learned at home. I'm gonna see if I can find, there's usually something like they wanted, they did, and what they were. So like can have ours, what I usually do with like animals. Somewhere in there, I think Johnny Appleseed had one. I'm gonna have to look at my Johnny Appleseed stuff, but I talked about what he did, what he wanted, and there's something else. And so that's the one I really want. I have this just in case, but that's what I'm gonna look for at home. We did that. We did our groups. I pulled my ELs and my middles, and that was our day. We did our PE, we did walking today. I said it's our Monday, so we're gonna do our meandering Monday, which is just walking. And then we went home. So right now I stayed half an hour. I have to go pick up my high schooler, but I did my homework for the week. They do reading every day, 10 minutes. It's all online, it's all on Canvas. And then I have their list of high frequency words for the week, and I just have them practice those words at home. Fluency is repeated reading. I don't do timed reading, I just do repeated reading. So there's a story, which is our story from the book, and they just read through it. And then they have, let me see, Monday's math, but we didn't do anything for Monday, but they usually do a lesson on Zern. Tuesday, I asked them to do it's 15 minutes on Lexia. Wednesday is writing, so they'll write about, I think this time I asked them just to write their high frequency words in a sentence, and then they post that online. And then Thursday is Ed Puzzle. I used the second story is usually inside YouTube, and it's usually an Ed Puzzle. So from Cows to You, I found an Ed Puzzle that went through there. It didn't have any questions, so I just wrote like the questions from the TE, and then that's their Thursday. And then if they want to do ST Math, I put ST Math there. I have about, I'll say 14 kids that turn in homework this way, where before it was like 8 kids turned in homework. And I say 14 kids do homework because on Wednesdays they upload their writing, and then on Thursdays, Ed Puzzle posts what they got. So I know they turn stuff in when they do it. That's how I'm doing homework now. I think I'm getting more kids doing homework, doing it this way than on paper and pencil. So I'm gonna say 14 kids are turning in their homework, where before it was like 8 were always turning in the homework. So this is easier for me because I look at their writing, but it's incomplete. And then their Ed Puzzle corrects itself. So it's really easy for me. I just have to spend, a little bit of time on Monday or Tuesday after school to upload it, and then I'm done for the rest of the week. And then when they turn it in, it turns in and it corrects itself. So I do it online now, which I like, and second grade does it online. So my class will be ready on how to use Canvas, and they'll be ready to do everything online because I am already doing it. I'm gonna head out. I have a high schooler to pick up. He does shot put now. I'm doing this, and I said, okay. So he's doing that. He gets out at 4, so I'll make it on time. Tomorrow's my Wednesday early out day. We'll do our reading tomorrow. We'll do George Washington tomorrow. We have library, and then we go home an hour early. So thank you for watching my Tuesday, and I'll see you tomorrow. It's lunchtime. Hello, it's Wednesday, it's lunch. We came in the morning, it's cold and it's windy. We came in the morning and we had a level 2 lockdown, which means they just come in and they have to be, quiet in the dark-ish. We continue working, close the door. That's all we did. I warned them before. I told them this is practice. That's why I'm telling you. There's nothing to worry about. So they were fine. I just closed the blinds and turned off the lights, and we continue with math. We did math. We're doing lesson 19. Tomorrow's lesson 20, which is today was just drawing a drawing a ribbon, and then drawing, labeling, number sentence, and then a statement. So that's what we worked on today. Tomorrow is the same thing, except we have a unknown part. And so they're gonna have to write their number sentence with an unknown part, and then we'll figure out the part using our drawing. But that's what we're doing for math. That's what we did for math today. So we're on lesson 19. Tomorrow will be on lesson 20. And then we got into our phonemic awareness. We did our read out loud. So I'm using the same read out loud as last week. What it comes with, I use the Kylie Barragon's read out louds. Kylie Barragon's read out louds. And it comes in a lot like Primary Scouts. So theirs are very similar. I've used Primary Scouts before. I found hers, and I just been, I guess, just sticking with her since I go back and forth and I see what stories they have. But they usually have 4 lessons. So this is the retell, story elements and retell. I do that. And then they have characters change. So first graders need to be able to retell a story. First graders need to be able to describe the characters. So I'm using this as describing the character. So they're describing how the character changes. First graders need to have, or we use comprehension strategy. So this is cause and effect. So this one changes often. There's usually always a character change, and there's always the questions that go with the retell. This one usually changes cause and effect. Sometimes it's different. And then there's always the author's message. First graders need to be able to tell the lesson you're supposed to learn from the story. And so that goes with author's message. So these are the ones I do every week. Monday is usually listening to the story on YouTube. Tuesday, so we listen to the story on YouTube. Tuesday, I read the story, asking the questions from the retell. And then we do our map. I'll show the map right now, the story map. They don't do anything on paper. If I do it on chart, they don't do it on paper. If they do it on paper, I don't make a chart for it. So it's either or. So Tuesday is that. Wednesday is usually our comprehension strategy. And so this one's gonna be cause and effect. And then Thursday is usually characters change. And then Friday, we talk about the message of the story. So Monday, Tuesday, they listen to the whole story. Wednesday is usually like a picture walk. And so I just turn the page, ask a friend what happened on this page, or they tell each other what happened on this page. And then that's Wednesday before we get into our lesson. Thursday and Friday, I don't read the whole story. I just read the pages that go with the questions. What we're working on today is cause and effects. That's lesson 3 inside the bundle. I read like the page before, and then I read the page, ask the question, and then it goes with the worksheet. The worksheet comes different. You can get one that has all blank, and so you have to find the cause and the effect. And then there's this one that had the causes written down. And then our job was to find the effect while we're reading. Or you have this one where it is, the effects are already there. You just have to match it with the causes. Since we're doing this as a whole class, I decided to change it a little bit. So I put some of the effects and I've covered the causes. That way that we have to look for, a cause or an effect. And so I'm reading it, stopping, and then we did our first one. I read it, stop, and then I did our second one. So that's what we're doing as a class. We're actually doing that right now. So that's what I do. Tomorrow's Thursday. Tomorrow I'm going to do characters change. And then Friday we'll do the moral of the story, because that's what first graders need to, or the lesson, the author's message, the lesson learned from the story, because that's what first graders have to do. Let me show you my charts that I make. Again, if I make a chart, the kids don't do any paperwork. So if the kids are doing paper like they are today, I don't have a chart to go with it. So we're doing everything on the worksheet. This is what comes with the pack. So everything printed comes with the pack, and then we wrote down what the problem was and what the solution was. So on Monday, this is what we did. So it was really fast, everything. I usually laminate these, that way I can save them for next year, but our laminator's broken at school. But this is what we did on Monday, and then problem solution, and then that was all we did. Tuesday's retail day, and so I put these on the camera, and then they tell me which one goes first, second, and so forth. So they put them in order. I glue them down. On Tuesday, I read the story again. Monday, I just, like I said, we would do YouTube. Tuesday, I read it to them again, and then we put that in order, and they tell me what's happening in each picture. So I go through and I pick friends, and they tell me what's happening in the picture. This one I had them write, and so we saw what the sentence was. I drew the lines, and then I assigned different students words for them to come and write, and then I wrote the last one. They wanted to do more, but it was turning into party time on the carpet for the friends that didn't have a marker, so I told them we're just going to do one. So that's my retail, our retail on Tuesday. This is where I usually put them when we're done with them. So I'll get, when I finish with the story, I'll rip those off, and then they'll replace this. And so sour grape was our last one that we did together. So since they didn't do a worksheet, we did it on a chart. And then there's my retail, and then I did characters change right there. So again, we didn't do a worksheet, so we just did it on the chart, and then I put them up. And that one's for Alouds Winter's Nap. When I finish this story, and I'll have my charts, I will replace those there. So that's what I'm going to do. So those will come off. I need to take those off. They're done. I'm gonna put those charts up there, and then they'll be ready for the next story. I try to do one a week, but what I've learned is when there's something going on, like last week was kindness week, I don't get to it. So we'll do, if there's something going on, I'm not going to do a read out loud that week, and I'll use that time for like Christmas activities or Halloween crafts or kindness crafts like last week, and then I'll get to read out louds when we don't. It's just a normal plain week. Tomorrow I'm going to do characters change, so I'm going to look for the paper that goes with that and see if I want to make a chart or I want them to do a worksheet. It usually comes with the crafts. So Friday, this is the picture. They'll color it, cut it out, and then it usually comes with writing that you can go, or writing paper, so you can make a prompt to go with it. So we'll see what we do with this. I planned on Friday. This isn't a lot of space for them to write, so I'm gonna cut and paste and figure out how to make it longer, so that way they have more space for writing. I really am focusing them on writing. Author's message is usually the paper, what it looks like, and so author's message, and then we write our sentence about what we learned from the text, and then I have them put in evidence. And so we talk about, you know, Hank learned to be kind to others, and then we'll find some evidence from the story of how he learned or where he learned about the importance of being kind. That's what we're going to finish when we come back in. It's our short day, so we're going to finish that. We're going to do our phonics. We haven't done it yet. We'll get into groups, and then we'll get into reading, and then that's going to be our day. So I have finished our read out loud, do our phonics, and then our groups, and then get into our reading about farms. I think it's about farms and getting breakfast, and with that we're doing a sequence writing. So that's what we're going to do. I have 5 minutes before lunch is over because it's our early out day. So I'm going to put this down. I'm going to sit and eat my peanut butter and jelly sandwich. That's what I bring to eat, and I will see you guys after school. Today's Wednesday, so early out, and I'll see what I have. It's 3 o'clock. It's time to go home. We're due for rain. I tell you that it doesn't rain in California, but it's been raining on my vlog. We're due for rain for tomorrow. It's supposed to rain after school, or towards the end of the day, so hopefully that stays. The kids need to get out. It's windy and it's cold. But it's 3 o'clock, it's time to go home. I have, let me see, I cleaned my filing cabinet. I filled up a trash can, which is always good to throw stuff away. Don't try to hold on to it. Don't be one of those teachers that hoards. And then it's like, I am going to use it, but you never use it. So I threw a trash can away. Tomorrow I'll probably try to throw another trash can away just to get rid of my stuff. My cabinets are full. And then I have my filing cabinet, and that's pretty much it, and whatever's on my desk. Everything else is kids stuff and then materials that come with our curriculum. So I really don't have anything besides what's in my room, which is good. But I still want to get rid of things because I still have stuff that needs to go somewhere. I just don't have anywhere to put it. So I'm gonna spring clean. That's my goal, to actually do that. We came in from lunch and we did our cause and effect. We finished that and then we went into groups. I usually don't do groups on Wednesdays, but since we had Monday off, I needed to finish our groupings. And then tomorrow I'll just do my other groups. And so we did groups. I pulled my EL students and my middles. My middles read with me, and we would pause and go over like the phonics that they needed to go over. We read a story that had long A, and so that's where they're a little bit behind. They need to work on their fluency, but they can sound everything out. So I worked with them. For my ELs, we did reading in the morning, so they were reading to me, and then for this group that I did with them, or the other group that I did with them, we did some writing. So part of the EL test is to look at a picture and write a sentence, and so that's what they do. They look at a picture and then they're supposed to write a sentence. I go through and they read it to me, and then I write down things that they did that were incorrect, like washing. He didn't know the sh, so I showed him, and then he said washing, but he didn't put the ing. So we went over washing, and then he said his, but he wrote he, the, and so I showed him how to write his, and it's just things like that. Water, like we've gone over the word water, so I wrote water for him. A lot of the things are things that we have gone over that he still doesn't know, or that he still didn't know, so that's what I correct. Like clean, he sounded it out, but we haven't gone over EA yet, so I don't correct it because I haven't taught it yet. So next time if he does, after we teach vowel teams and he does say, he does spell it incorrectly, then I will show him that it's incorrect. But he sounded out so he wrote clean. Everything else is things that we've gone over, that I know we've gone over, like car. He put C-O-R, but I've told him, R like a pirate, and that's how you do it, R like a pirate, and so I fixed it, or I corrected it for him. So that's what I correct. I just let them write, but I correct the things I know I've taught. And then another one is dictation, and so I say the sentence, they repeat me the sentence, and then they write it down. There's a dictation on, well, I'm going off of second grade. I really don't know what first grade is, but second grade has a dictation sentence, and so I just want to practice them doing a dictation sentence. I think I've said this before. I really should check out what theirs is. So we will play tag. That was their sentence. I give them another marker to correct, and then we did another sentence. My hen is red. So these are all short vowel words. I say the sentence, my hen is red. My hen is red, and then they repeat it to me. They show me how many words they should have, and then they write it down, and then we switch markers, and then they fix whatever they need to have fixed. And we count words, because I still have friends that think, 1, 2, 3, they count letters, and it's like no words, and so we go over how many words in a sentence. We wrote 2 sentences, so there was 8. So that's what we did with EL, and that took 15 minutes for them to write their sentence. Most of the kids wrote 2 or 3, but their sentence for the picture, and then their dictation sentence, and that was our time for our EL. My other group, we read from decodables that I have that go with the series. They read a story from there by themselves, and then we read it together, pausing at all the places where they were having trouble, and we would sound it out and move on from there. So that was groups. After groups, we did George Washington. I don't have the book that we did. I already put it inside my baggie, but they put it inside their baggie after. There's George Washington. We watched a brain pop on George Washington. I read a story on George Washington, and then it's fill in the blank. So you have to fill in one of the facts. Amanda Richardson, so she had the Abraham Lincoln one too. So it says, you know, George Washington is called the of our country. So we had to, you know, he was called the father because we heard that in the two things that we listened to. The one that we had to look up was who he was married to, because in the brain pop or the book that was read on YouTube, it didn't say who he was married to. So we looked that up and we wrote it down. After that, I gave them time to read from their baggie. This is my baggie. In here, we have, like, this is their phonics book from last week. We have, or 2 weeks ago, here's our special, we'll call it. Here's another phonics book. So this is just where they keep all their phonics things. Here's Abraham Lincoln that we did yesterday. Again, a special. And then in here we have a poetry folder. Mine has nothing in it because I've already given my other one away. This is just where I throw all the extras. But in here we have, you know, special things. Like here's the poems I hand out. I just print them on half sheets of paper. That way they can stick them in the poetry folder. And it just goes through all the stories that we've read. Like this one's from Unit 2, Week 4. A booklet that goes with our phonics. The poems that they read on the screen with me for the week or during homework also. And then anything that's special, so we'll call the President's Day stuff special, that all stays in here. So today I gave them alone time just to reread, because rereading will help them become better readers. And then tomorrow or Friday, I'll give them time to read with a partner. I printed our phonics book, our decodable book for this week. So that's usually my Thursday activity, is reading from the decodable. And so we'll do that. And then tomorrow I'll give them 8 minutes. That's all I give them, 8 minutes to read with somebody from their baggie. So we did that, and then we went out to PE. There's no extra recess today because we got out early. So we went out to PE, we played tag. It was too cold, so we played, you know, 2 rounds of tag, and then we came in. Tomorrow we're going to do 2 great presidents, and so we'll read about both of them, and it compares and contrasts Washington and Lincoln. This was from Miss Helen's Hippos, and that was free. And so we're going to do this tomorrow. I need to find my sort that I have that sorts out Washington and Lincoln, so that way we can do that tomorrow also. But we're going to do that. I'm going to do, was it DOL? So I'm going to have 2 sentences on the board. I'm just going to copy these. This comes from my Humble Beginnings pack, and then they're going to write it inside their, this is just like their writing, extra writing, and so we're going to fix it inside here. So we're going to do that tomorrow. We have our lesson 20 for math, and then we are going to go over characters change. So tomorrow, lesson for my interactive read out loud is going to be characters change. So I'll just read those pages, ask the questions that it highlights in the lesson, and then we'll do a worksheet. So I'm not going to do a poster, I'm going to do a worksheet that I had printed out. So we're going to do that. And then that will be my Thursday. And then our reading, which is going to be our second story, high frequency words, we'll read them. Tomorrow we're going to write sentences with them on brown pieces of paper just to have them do some independent writing. We'll have our new centers, and tomorrow's Thursday, and that's all I have planned. So hopefully the rain stays away until after school, because that would be awesome. But if not, we'll have rainy day schedule, and that'll be my Thursday. Hope you find something interesting in what I talk about. And I talk a lot, and I show what I do have, but if there's anything that you think that I should show, please let me know. But I'm gonna head home. It is Ash Wednesday, so there's no meat for us in our house. So we'll see what we eat. Maybe husband will say it's Filet-O-Fish day, but we'll see what we eat. Hey, it's Thursday, it's lunchtime. This morning was rainy and wet and cold. So we came in, we didn't have morning recess, so it was considered rainy day schedule. They're still calling it rainy day or inclement weather, even though it's nice and sunny outside. Still cold, but they have not called it off. So I have a 30-minute lunch. I called and asked if it was a rainy day. They said yes, but then I don't know what happened, and I totally took them during the regular time. So I was 5 minutes early to lunch, and we had to wait a little bit. Oopsie. What did we do? We came in, we did our math. We read. I pulled my EL kids to read with me. So we read with my EL kids. They all had kindergarten level books, which was still difficult for them. So it was still a lot of sounding out, pretty much every single word, but they were reading. They know their sight words. It's just, you know, our CVC words that they're sounding out. That's what they, you know, we went through. I told them the like phonics that we don't know yet. I just tell them the word and I show them like this EA. Again, we haven't taught vowel teams, but EA is going to say E. And so with those words, I said, well, this is going to say E, and then we will sound it out, and they read it. So they read a page to me, and I just go through, and the rest of the time they're whispering to themselves, whisper reading. And then I had one friend who took his first AR test, and he passed. So that was like extra special because they usually don't get through a book, or if they do, they take too long to get through it, so they don't have time to do an AR test. But he read with me, and it was a biscuit book. I think biscuit books are really good books, like they're kindergarten books, and the kids enjoy them. So I have a lot of biscuit books for the kids to read. And that's actually what they were all reading in my back table. So we did that. For math, we did our lesson 20. A lot of my kids are on lesson 20, so they were kind of like, hey, you know, we did this. And so it's like, yeah, you know, Zern goes with what our math we're doing. In Read Out Loud, Nobody Hugs a Cactus. We did the characters change lesson. So it had me reading 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages. I reread the page before and the page it asks me to. So I read 10 pages of the story. And then we filled out our worksheet. If I don't do a poster, they fill out a worksheet. So this is talking about how the character changes. And so the questions were like, you know, how does he feel at this picture? Look at his picture. How does he feel? Why does he feel that way? And then towards the end, it's like, what happened that was surprising? And in the book, Hank, he's a grumpy cactus, and he makes a flower to say thank you to Rosie the tumbleweed. And it just shows like he felt that kindness, and so he gave the kindness out. So that's how the character changed. So in the beginning, he was mean to whoever passed by. They said in the end, he was nice to everybody, or they said he was nice to Rosie. But one of the kids said, well, what happens if this made him nice to everybody? And so I had some kids talking about, well, in the next book, that's what's going to be about. They like telling me what the next book's going to be about. And I always tell them, maybe you should write the next book. But we just finished this. And so we had math, reading time, 15 minutes, took AR tests. I have, let me see how many people took AR tests today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 friends took AR tests or passed 10. 10 friends passed AR tests, 80% or higher. And then we went into our math. Then we did our inside recess, and then we finished our read out loud. When we come back, we'll start our phonics lesson, which is the O in that's a hard one. O with So we're going to do our phonics lesson, centers, and then we're going to get into our reading. The reading's called From Cows to You. In the Humble Beginnings, this is supposed to be a full sheet. I just printed it on halves because it's for me. I want to look at it. They have for our story we read yesterday, our text we read yesterday, it says a look at breakfast, and you're supposed to write the steps to make breakfast items. And then today it's what job in the milk process would you rather have? I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this, and we're going to write about the process of making milk. And so we're going to look at the steps in making milk, and we're going to write the steps down. So that's what we're going to do in our just our writing folder. We're going to do the steps in making milk. So the first step is, and then our first step in making milk is, and then they'll write down next, then last. That will be after we read. This is just for writing. So this is what I use to do the writing. This is like a fill in the blank, but I just have them write it. And this is what we use for our reading. So if it's connected to our reading, we just put it inside here. Nothing special about it. We don't need to draw anything because we're connecting it to our text. So we're gonna have reading from Cows to You. We are going to do our groups. We have phonics, and then today we are doing our Abraham Lincoln and George Washington. I did print the sort. I think we're going to do that together. So I'm going to make a chart, and then we're going to draw Abraham Lincoln and George Washington on a piece of paper, and then I'm going to have them just write down like 2 things they know about each person, and that's it. And then we're going to be done, I think, with President's Day. We'll see. Next week's Read Across America week. So I'm not going to do a read out loud. I think I'm just going to do like a book each day and do an activity with it. The school's asking parents if they want to come read. So we'll see if I have any parents that want to come read for the day. It says they can read, they can do a craft, or then they can bring a snack. So we'll see what parents choose to do. But I put that out on Class Dojo. And then I think that's the end of my day, really. We're going to do our presidents, our reading, our phonics, our centers, and then we'll be done with Thursday. Hopefully they call off rainy day because, like I said, it's a blue sky out my window. So we'll see. Hi, it's a rainy Friday. I didn't say bye yesterday, so bye for yesterday and hello for the today. Today's Friday. It is February 24th. It's my dog's birthday. She is now a dog. She's no longer a puppy. So I have to go buy her something because I'm that type of person. What did we do? It's a rainy day. I know I said it never rains, but it's raining again today. It's supposed to rain 3 days next week. So we'll see how we do. I am missing 8 kids. So in my classroom, I have 16 kids at the moment, and it has been wonderful. We were doing, let me see, math was lesson 21. We were doing word problems. They get when the missing number is not one of the add-ins, like they get it. But if the missing number is one of the add-ins, they automatically see the 2 numbers and want to add them together. So we had 6 problems today. I did the first 3 with them. We worked together. They did 3. Then on the back, they had 3 to do by themselves. For my first group, which I switched them because my reading teacher came and said that she was gonna pull my kids in the morning now. So I had to switch their grouping. So my first group are my higher kids, my more independent students. They do it. And only 2 of them got all 3 right. There were some that got 2 right, and there were, more than half of them got 1 right. And majority of that is because I had 3 friends that just decided to talk and talk and talk. And I walked around and I gave stars. And then at the end of, I think I gave them, there was 3 problems. So I gave them 6 minutes. And at the end of that, I said, okay, if you got 3 stars, you did great. If you got 2 stars, you did okay. And if you got 1 star, you didn't do very well. So, and I know those friends that got 1 star is because they were paying no mind. They were talking to each other, stop talking, and talking to each other, stop talking, and talking to each other. I have a rule that, certain friends sit next to each other, that's automatic point to me. So I gave myself a point and said, this is the reason why you're not supposed to be sitting next to each other, because you have no, it's puppy play time. It's time to play, and you're here to have a good time when you're next to your friend. So we'll see. My second group, which are my friends that need a little bit more, we did the first 3 together. We did our first 3 together, and then by themselves, I said, okay, number 4. I read it to them. I waited. I walked around, gave stars. I went over it. Number 2, I read it. I waited, walked around, gave some stars, did some, I think you need to check this. I think you need to check that. And then we went over it. We didn't finish the 3rd one, so we'll do that on Monday, and then we'll get into our lesson 22. So that was math. We did our AR reading. I had 6 friends take AR test, and yes, it's always the same friends, because the other ones, like I said, I don't push it. It's time. There's time if you need it, if you want to, and so they get their little treat. So I had 6 friends. It's always the same kids. It is. Some take multiple. I have one kid that took 2 tests, and that's fine with me. Next year, it's more, this is your goal, this is how much you're getting. The reason I don't push it right now, I'll push it after March. The reason I don't push it right now is because we don't technically have a ZPD for them, because we don't give them the STAR reading test. We just do the early lit. Early lit doesn't give them a ZPD, so there's no goal set, and there's technically no ZPD for them. The ZPDs, their zone of proximal development, so that's the range of books that they should be reading. That is okay for them. So in March, I will start pushing it then. So if they are able to take the reading test, they will take the test and they will get a ZPD, and then we'll start focusing on everybody needs to take an AR test that has a ZPD. My friends that can't take the test, they're not going to have to take any AR test because they can't read enough to get there. So we did that. We did our math. Rainy day, so we were inside. We listened to, it's called It's Raining Tacos. My kids love it. My own children at home showed it to me. I play it every rainy day, so we did that. And I gave them iPad free time, which just means Lexia, ST Math, or Zern. So we did that. And like I said, I have 16 kids in my room, so it's kind of quiet. We came back in, or we finished that. We finished math because math took us past recess. And then we did our phonemic awareness, and we are working on our read out loud. For our read out loud, what it comes with is this paper. I don't think it's enough writing space, so I cut and taped to make it a little bit bigger. I'll do it better in the snippet tool, but this is what I had, so I just did it in the workroom. So I made it a little bit larger. This is the little craft that it came with this week. So we are going to do, they finished doing this. When we come back in, I'll do the reading. We're going to talk about the author's message, and then we are going to do some writing for Nobody Hugs a Cactus. So we'll write something. I don't know if it's going to be an opinion piece. Maybe it's going to be a summary. Maybe it's going to be the author's message. But after we reread it, or after I read the lesson, I'll make a decision. I'm feeling kind of up in the air today since it's only 16 kids, which to some, it's like 16 kids is a lot still, but in a class of 24, that's not that much. So this is what we were doing. They were cutting and pasting when we left. So we'll come in, they'll sit on the carpet. We'll do our, actually take that back. I'll go pick them up. Since it's rainy day, they don't have recess. They'll come in, they'll have 10 minutes to play. They won't want doodle and draw, so we'll doodle and draw. And then after that, they will come sit on the carpet, 1 minute quiet, and then we'll do our lesson. After our lesson, we have, I copied this, but we don't have tissue paper. We have white, but we don't have red. And so I don't want to do, and we don't have dark blue. So I don't want to do this. I'll just stick this in my file for next year and remind myself to get tissue paper from the Dollar Tree. We are going to do a sort. This is my sort. Where's my other paper? And it goes with this. So George Washington, Abraham Lincoln. Then everybody gets one, and we'll just have to sort what George Washington has and did and what Abraham Lincoln has and did. And so we're going to do this as our President's Day craft. So we have that. Our reading today is from Cows to You. So I think what I'm gonna have them do, since this is our last story in the book, they will get the book. We will reread it, and then they're gonna get with somebody and have 8 minutes to read with somebody all the stories in the book. Yesterday, they read all the stories by themselves for 8 minutes. It's just repeated reading. It helps them learn how to read. And so then we'll do that. We're gonna go over contractions, which we've already done previously, but we'll go over them again. Contractions, and then we're working on endings, so adding the ed, ing when you have to double the last consonant. We did it yesterday, and 3 of my kids were like, oh, I know, this is so easy. So we'll do that, but they don't know it. And then I'll see what else we do. It's Friday. I didn't give them their ST math time in the morning. I forgot it was Friday because we only had a 4-day week this week. So probably after our last recess, I'm going to check to see if everyone's on, let me see, 21. So 16. If they're on level 16, I will let them do ST math. If they are not on level 16, they will have to do Zer on the carpet with me, and then that will be 10 minutes. And so we're going to do that. I've been pulling kids to do fluency and high frequency words, and so I need to finish with that also. And I think that's it. I think that will probably be my day. So we're going to do some writing. We're going to do our President's Day stuff. They're going to reread the stories and read them with each other. And then we are going to do our interactive read out loud. So writing with our interactive read out loud, our lesson on author's message, our reading from our book. We're going to do the endings, EDING. We are going to do contractions, which we've already covered. And then we have our President's Day stuff with centers and ST math time. So that's going to be the rest of our day. I did staple their 120-day paper to their bag. So I'm going to hand this out today, and that'll give them 2 weeks to make their collections. Actually, next week, a week and a half to get their collections together, and then they'll bring this back for the 6th because the 7th is our 120th day of school. We're almost done, but March tends to be the longest month. So I'm gonna do that. I have to go pick up my kids in 5 minutes. Yesterday I was early taking them and late picking them up. So I'm gonna be on time today. So I'm gonna go. I have my, you guessed it, peanut butter and jelly. This one's the big one, so I probably won't eat it all. But I'm gonna go get my kids in about 5 minutes and do everything else that I need to do today. And I'll see you after school. When I last left you, it was lunchtime. So we came in, we finished, I don't remember what we were doing, but we finished it. We did our reading, and then I pulled Friends, my ELs, my lows. So when everyone else was partying up and reading, I pulled my ELs, and this is our unit 1. So this is what they're ready for right now. So we sat, and while everyone else was reading with their partner from unit 3, we sat and we read unit 1. So we just went through all the stories and we read them out loud together, and they felt so much success just being able to read it. And so they were very excited, and they were like, oh, we're reading it. We're reading it. And it's like, yep. And so we read this, and this is unit 1. So, I mean, if we go in here, it's Max can, Jack can. So this is very basic, their level. And so this is what we did when everyone else was reading our unit 3, week 5. So that's what we did. We did our, let me see. This is what our President's Day paper looked like. And so we compared, I read 2 small first grade stories from Epic, and so I read those, and after that they went to their seats. They cut everything out, and then we went through and I showed them the picture, and I said, like for this one, I said, this is the Washington Monument, where does it go? And so then we put them where they belonged, and then they had to pick either Washington or Lincoln, and then they had to write one fact that they knew. And I said, if you can't remember anything, flip it up, and then you'll be able to remember. So it just has like where they're born, they're on the quarter, the penny, the dollar bill, the $5 bill. And so that's what we did at the end of the day. So today they took home their author's message, their craft they did for Nobody Hugs a Cactus, and they took home that sort. Next week is Read Across America. Next week I have a parent that's going to come in Monday. She said she's going to read a book, and she has a craft. And then the other days I have nobody that signed up. So I will do a book and a craft for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So I'm not going to have a read out loud next week. And then that's the extra special for Monday. And we'll see what other things we can do at home. I have some recording. They're graded. I just need to record them. And then I'm going to do my slides. I do them every weekend. I have, again, no problem doing them at home. And since it's not raining, I'm going to leave. Picked up a little bit. Chairs went up. pencil pouches away. They'll get to pick a new seat for the week. Once they sit, I'll tell them where they're going, if they need to change, and then we'll start our Monday. Thank you for watching this week. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, and I'll see you later.